All right, Seattle certainly coming to the big screen, the big stage in 21-22. As we found out in the press conference, same expansion draft rules as the Vegas Golden Knights. And Vegas, of course, we should mention, exempt. They will not participate. They will not lose any players in the expansion draft coming up in June of 2021. Just to refresh your memory, they have to select one player from each club except Vegas. Now, the clubs, they have two options for protecting their players. You can protect 7 forwards, 3 D-men, and a goaltender, or 8 skaters in total, forward and defensemen, however you want to combine it, and 1 goaltender. What do you make of this and the format? Obviously, they weren't going to go back a step from what we saw in Vegas. But if you're one of those 30 teams participating in this draft and losing one of your players, did you learn something from the way it went with Vegas now moving forward for when Seattle takes their turn?
Yes. I think that the fact that this process played out and we saw how it worked on paper, we saw it announced, and then we saw what Vegas was able to do with their roster and the additional things they were able to get through various leverage moves by George McPhee. Everybody kind of knows how this works now, and everybody has seen the teams that made some deals that maybe weren't favorable deals for them. Minnesota Wild, for example, ended up losing a couple of players in the idea of trying to protect somebody on their defense. They ended up making some moves and traded, whether they lose an Alex Tuch, they lose an Eric Haula, both of whom were really good players for the Vegas Golden Knights. Last year, and moving forward, the Florida Panthers, the same thing. The Columbus Blue Jackets made a couple of moves like that. So I think everybody has seen this play out now. They will have a little bit better idea of how they're going to approach it, and it'll be a real challenge for Seattle. I mean, George McPhee really worked the room, so to speak, really well. To find just the leverage points in different teams, and it was able to access probably more players and more assets than we probably thought he could get. So it'll be a challenge for the group in Seattle. We know Dave Tippett is involved in some way with this group. They will eventually at some point hire a general manager and a complete hockey staff, and those guys will be tasked with the idea of going out and trying to put together a list and really looking at each roster and seeing where teams are vulnerable or what guys might be available. And I think it goes back to the first point, is that they will have to determine who they want to be as a team. And I've said this over and over for years, as all these sports franchises, who are we as a team? Because once you make that decision, then you can go out and bring in the players that fit who you want to be. And I think Vegas did that very well. They wanted to be fast and entertaining. They went out and got fast and entertaining type players. And it worked out really well for them. So they'll have to make that decision in Seattle. But they've got a little time to work on, a little extra time. But it won't be as easy because the general managers, everybody has seen this act play out, and they're going to have a little bit of a different approach.
Is that the blueprint nowadays? Speed, fast? That's, I mean,
absolutely.
You come in, you don't have to retool on the fly. You get the clean canvas, and you get to be whatever you want your identity to be. If you were a GM in this decision, what is the identity of Seattle if you want to start?
You've got to be able to be fast now. You've got to be able to play with speed. I mean, and the thing that's going to be really important for the general manager and the hockey group in Seattle when they get in place is to really be in tune with what is going on in the league. Because if you're not, you miss the subtle changes. The league went from a bigger, tougher league to a faster league. There have been rule changes.
Division in Pacific.
Exactly. There are things that take place year in and year out. So the league will be different when they come into it in 21-22 than it is now. And so they'll have to be aware of all those little changes and what the trends are moving forward so they can identify, again, what makes the most sense for them. But once they do that, then they can go out and get the type of players they need. But I would imagine it is going to continue to be speed, and more speed, but it'll be up to them to keep a close eye on the trends and where we are going as a league, because it's a couple years out now.